Blackstone presents Home is Where the Bodies Are by Jeneva Rose. This book is read by January Lavoie, Brittany Presley, Cassandra Campbell, and Andrew Iden. Prologue and acknowledgments read by Jeneva Rose.
To my family, you've never had to hide a body, but I know you would if needed. Dad sure had us pour a lot of concrete, though, so who knows what's under there. Prologue. Nothing brings people together better than death. It's like the sound of a high-pitched whistle for a dog that has strayed from its owner. When it happens, they always come. Death reminds us that life isn't infinite, and that one day, our time will come too. We pause to listen to that reminder, to acknowledge it, to show it the respect it demands, and then we spread out into the world like Pappy on a dying dandelion, waiting for it to call us again, hoping the next call will be to gather rather than to be gathered around. Knock, knock. Don't worry. It's not for you. This time.
1. Beth. The rain falls differently today. Not soft, not hard, not sideways, just different. As though it's preparing my mother's final resting place, saturating the ground where she will soon lie. The hospice nurse said she'll pass by the end of the day. It's odd. Some people never see it coming, others have a countdown, and I don't know which is worse. I stare out the kitchen window, which overlooks 5 acres of property, a mix of trees, hills, flat grassy land, and a creek that cuts through it all. My parents purchased the land from a farmer back in the late 70s and had a home built here shortly after. It was their little slice of paradise, until it wasn't. My phone buzzes. A text from my brother. His flight has landed, and he'll be home in under an hour. Home? He stopped visiting 7 years ago, when our father disappeared. So I wouldn't call our small Wisconsin town his home. Only 174 people can call it that, but not him. Most people who leave the Grove don't come back, and those that do never return because they want to. It's kind of like a cemetery in that way. I flick to the text I sent my sister hours ago. It's unread. She's probably strung out in some motel, a needle wedged between her toes because her veins collapsed long before she caught up with that high she's been chasing all her life. I let out a heavy sigh at the mere thought of my sister. Addiction is exhausting for both the users and the ones they use. I pull a loaf of white bread from the cupboard and slather a heavy helping of mayo on 2 slices. A bowl of round and supple beefsteak tomatoes, plucked from the garden, sits beside the sink. I place the ripest one on the worn cutting board. Tomato water seeps from the flesh as my knife slides through it. I'm not sure why I'm even making Mom a tomato mayo sandwich. She hasn't eaten anything in days, but it's her favorite, she says. She grew up dirt poor, so her favorites are her favorites because she hasn't experienced anything better. I always wanted to do more for her, to show her a world outside of the Grove. But I never got out either. Elizabeth, my mother calls softly from the living room. She says my name the same way she consumes her Werther's candies, slowly, deliberately. It's like she's savoring it. My shoulders drop, sinking to a place familiar to those who have faced defeat. I know I'll never hear her say it again. My name. The one she gave me. I wish I could reach out and grab it, stow it away in a safe place, like some sort of family heirloom. But it belongs to this moment. Like her, it's not something I can keep forever. I take a deep breath and release the knife from my hand. It thuds against the cutting board. It's time to say my final goodbye. The clock on the wall reads just after 8 p.m. My siblings most likely won't make it in time. Then again, they've had all the time in the world to be here with her, and they chose not to. So perhaps they don't deserve it. Death waits for no one. Coming, Mom. I forced the corners of my lips up a few clicks before leaving the kitchen. All she ever wanted was to see her children happy. I can do that for her, even if it's not true. The living room was converted into her bedroom 3 months ago. She wanted it that way, wanted to be able to look out the big bay window and watch the sunset. Mom worked second shift most of her life, so she said it was the one thing she felt she missed out on. A television sits in the corner, muted, with a car dealership commercial playing on the screen. Most of my mom's belongings are floral print. The blanket covering her, the couch that has been pushed to the far wall, and the decorative pillows placed on either end. There are even pictures of flowers hung in frames behind her hospice bed. She told me flowers reminded her of life, beautiful, delicate, and short-lived. Her bed sits propped up, and she's looking out the window. Hi, Mom, I say. My voice nearly croaks, but I swallow the sadness. I'll break that dam later, but not now, not in front of her. She lifts her hand shakily an inch above her lap and lets it fall back into place. She doesn't have the strength to say it, but I can hear her words. Come watch the sunset, Beth. Okay, Mom. I take a seat in the chair beside her bed. It's molded to my behind from all the hours I've sat with her over the past few months. She got real bad 7 weeks ago, so I took FMLA leave from my job at the warehouse to care for her around the clock. Mom would have had more time, but she's a stubborn woman who visits the doctor about as often as one visits the DMV. By the time they caught the cancer, it was far too advanced, having spread to her liver and bloodstream. She wiggles her thin fingers, and I reach for them, gently holding her hand. The rain has stopped temporarily. The clouds part, and the sky shifts to a perfect blue, layered with hues of pink and orange from the setting sun. It's beautiful, Mom, I say, glancing over at her. Her graying skin is like the bark of a tree, deep creases from a lifetime of stress and grief. She embraces them, though. She always has, proudly saying, "The wrinklier the skin, the harder the life." It's a badge of honor for her, evidence of her hardships. Her chest barely rises and falls. I watch it closely just to be sure she's still breathing. She keeps her eyes on the setting sun, and I can hear what she said to me a week ago, before it became too difficult for her to utter more than a word or two. There's not many things you can count on in life, but that is one thing you can count on. It will rise and it will fall, no matter what. Don't matter if you're sick or sad. Don't matter if there is war or there is peace. Don't matter if you see it or you don't. That sun, you can count on it. Even in her dying days, she's still trying to teach me, to guide me, to show her love her way, through lessons and words of wisdom. I squeeze her hand gently, so she knows I'm still here. The small pressure seems to push through her body, constricting the very air in her lungs. She begins to wheeze. I dunk a sponge into a glass of water and squeeze the liquid into her partially open mouth. Mom never takes her eyes off the sun. I dab her chapped lips with the damp sponge and sit back down while she catches what little breath she has left. When the sun finally slips behind the horizon, she cranes her neck toward me. I smile at her, but she doesn't smile back. I know death is near because even her presence has dulled. Hi, Mom, I say. I'm trying to say Mom as many times as I possibly can because I know I'll never call another person that again. It's reserved only for her. There is no replacement. My throat tightens, and I feel my breath hitch like I'm going to experience one of those cries that comes from the deepest place, one that hurts, one you can't stop, one that makes every part of you quake and tremble. I reach for her hand and hold it again. It feels cold, and I know what that means. She looks at me, or maybe a little above me, I'm not sure. There's confusion in her eyes. She knew death was coming, but even so, its arrival is always puzzling. It's like we're all standing in one big queue waiting for our number to be called, thinking that day won't arrive, but it will. And it has. She tries to roll her body toward me, but she's too weak, so I lean closer to her. With only a foot between us, I notice her breathing changes from slow and shallow to rapid. It's almost here, and there are so many things I want to tell her. But I know it would take a lifetime to say them all, so I try to get out what I can. I love you, Mom. Thank you for having me, for raising me, for loving me, for being like the sun, the one thing I could always count on. My voice trembles. It's not at all how I wanted to say it. My face crumples and instantly becomes wet, the dam bursting open all at once. Her eyes flicker with realization, or something like it. Your father, she gasps. I lean a little closer. What, Mom? What about Dad? He didn't... She tries to suck in more air so she can get the words out. Words that must have been living inside of her. Had they been tangled up with the cancer and that's why she's only able to speak them now? Disappear, she stammers. I blink rapidly, like I'm trying to wake myself from a bad dream. Mom, what are you trying to say? If he didn't disappear, where is he? My voice rattles. I don't understand any of it. Don't, she says. Her eyes close for a moment, and I think she's gone. But they reopen just as quickly as they closed. Trust, she gasps. Mom, I don't understand. Where's Dad? I cry out. She exhales, trying to finish her final words, but nothing more comes out, save for her last breath. Her cold hand goes limp in mine. It's true what they say about the lights going out when a person passes. Her eyes sit still and dark. Her mouth hangs partially open. She's gone. She's gone. I let out a painful sob while her final words string together in my mind. Your father. He didn't disappear. Don't trust.
2. Michael. I always knew the only thing that would bring me home was death. I just didn't know whose it would be. I've been gone 7 years, and today I got the call. Mom's dying. You should come home. So I hopped on the first flight leaving San Jose to Wisconsin because when death calls, you answer. The engine of my rental car purrs quietly as I speed along Highway X, one of only 2 roads that connect Allensgrove to the rest of the world. A colorful rainbow appears in the sky, but judging from the dark clouds moving in from the west, it won't last long. I slow down and flick my left blinker on. There are no cars on the road to signal to, but I do it anyway, out of habit. The Grove still looks the same as I figured it would. Small towns don't evolve. They don't grow. They don't change. They are what they've always been. I drive past the park, which sits in the center of the unincorporated community. Large walnut and box elder trees are scattered throughout it. They're the only things that grow here. The same slide, swing set, and picnic tables are there, just rusted and more worn now. Ranch-style houses with decent-sized yards surround the park, and I'm sure the same bloodlines still live in each one. I make a right on Eustis Street. It's a dead end, but the last house on the left is where I grew up. I've thought about how our street goes nowhere, almost like foreshadowing for the people who stuck around. I didn't want to come back, but I can't trust my sisters to handle the estate properly. They have a plethora of their own unresolved problems. Nikki, an addiction to drugs. Beth, an addiction to mediocrity. How could I expect them to take care of this? I feel no ill will toward my sisters, but I know they resent me. I outgrew them. I got out. I discovered a world outside of this terrarium, and they hate me for it. But I also don't blame them for their envy. When you shine brighter than the sun, it's hard for others to look at you, so you have two choices: look and be blinded with resentment, or look away. It's obvious they chose the latter. They've had little to no contact with me for the past 7 years. I guess if I were in their shoes, I'd act the same way. I'm a reminder of what life could have been like if things had happened differently for them. No one wants that kind of reminder. I take the long concrete driveway slow. It curves at the top, cutting through a sprawling yard that used to serve as a cow pasture in another lifetime. The house sits at the end of the driveway, on top of the tallest hill in Allen's Grove. I used to think that our location was special, but it's not. It's like saying I'm the most successful of anyone that's ever lived in this town. A giant to ants. I parked the car in front of the 3-car garage. The siding on the large ranch-style home is a light blue, but it's not as bright and clean as it used to be when my father cared for it. Every spring, he'd pressure-wash the driveway, porch, back deck, and siding. This home was his source of pride, but eventually, pride destroyed him, like it does most men. I grab a duffel bag from the back seat and get out of the vehicle. I don't plan to stay very long, just long enough. A sweet, pungent scent hangs in the air, most likely from the rainfall and the impending storm. The wind whistles as it picks up speed. Birds chirp and sing from trees scattered around the land. At the front door, I notice the red paint is chipped and faded, another thing that hasn't been taken care of, and a reminder of why I'm here. I consider knocking, and maybe I should. I don't think of this place as home, but it also doesn't seem right to announce my presence as though I'm a guest. My hand grasps the cold door handle, and I let out a deep breath, readying myself to enter a world I never wanted to return to.
3. Beth. I haven't moved from my chair. It's been 20 minutes since Mom passed. Maybe only 2. Time stops when death makes a visit. I'm in shock. Not only from losing her, but also from hearing those final words. What did they mean? What was she trying to tell me? And why did she wait until the very end to say it? Why? My eyes flick between her and the swirl of colors on the television screen in the corner of the room. It's a rerun of Wheel of Fortune, the sound still muted. 3 letters are displayed, and the phrase consists of 2 words. The category is thing. Mom would have solved it already. She loved puzzles. Your father. He didn't disappear. Don't trust. Don't trust who or what? Or did she just mean don't trust in general, like anyone? My eyes go back to her. She's staring at me, or at least it seems that way. Her jaw is relaxed, mouth open as though she's about to say something. But I know she won't, because she's gone. And I'm left with a body and a puzzle. He didn't disappear. But he did, 7 years ago, leaving behind a handwritten note addressed to my mother. They had been married 37 years, and when he left, all he offered were 5 parting words. Laura, I'm sorry. Love, Brian. His truck was caught on a gas station surveillance camera 7 miles south of our home, and once more at a tollway crossing the Illinois border. And then he was never seen again. He vanished into thin air, like a puddle of water evaporating on a hot day. None of us saw it coming. Well, except Mom. She said they'd been having problems, and that Dad had struggled on and off with depression for many years. It was surprising to me because they never fought, and I didn't even know that Dad was unhappy. Mom told us she'd tried to get him help, but he refused, telling her he was fine. The police investigated his disappearance for a short time. At first they zeroed in on Mom, thinking she had something to do with it. It's always the spouse, at least almost always. That theory fell to the wayside when his truck was found 2 weeks later, abandoned in the town of McAllen, Texas, 11 miles from the Mexico border. The authorities kept the investigation open after that, but no one was really looking for him. "Where is he, Mom? Where's Dad?" I cry, wishing she'd wake up to answer me just one more time. The front door creaks open, sucking the stale air out of the house. I quickly cover Mom with a blanket, wipe my eyes, and get to my feet. "Hello?" Michael calls out. I haven't heard his voice in years, 7 to be exact, but it sounds the same, deep, with an air of confidence. I turn to find him standing in the living room entryway, dressed in khakis and a gray tee. He almost looks the same, too. His dark hair is cut short and speckled with gray now. His shoulders are broader, as though he's been hitting the gym regularly. His skin is tan because the sun shines a little longer and a little brighter in California. There's a thin scar a few inches in length running down his right cheek, one I don't recognize. It's new, and he probably did something stupid to get it. Although Michael is nearly 36, a few years younger than me, and towers over me, I still see him as my annoying little brother. "Hi, Beth," he says. "Hi, Michael." Neither of us say anything for a moment. We just stand there, worlds apart, glancing at one another. He's my family, but he's also a stranger. A familiar stranger. What an odd thing to be.
"Is Mom—"
He swallows hard, unable to finish his question, but I know what he's asking. He looks over my shoulder, trying to get a glimpse, but she's hidden under the covers and out of sight. I nod. Yeah. He rubs his brow and sharply exhales. "How long?" "Not long." My answer is vague because I've lost all sense of time. Michael shakes his head and glances down at his loafers.
"The damn plane sat on the tarmac for a half hour after we landed. I might have made it in time."
I'm not sure if he's looking for comfort, but I don't have any to give, so I say nothing. Just like Dad, he chose to stay away. He lifts his head, his eyes meeting mine.
"Did she say anything before she passed?"
I chew on my bottom lip and consider telling him Mom's final words. But that message was for me, not him. And I'm not sure what it even means, at least not yet. "No. She couldn't really speak," I say. He folds in his lips and nods, squinting as though he doesn't believe me. I don't blame him. I'm not the best liar, and he's not the most trusting person.
"Where's Nicole?"
I shrug. Your guess is as good as mine.
"Is she using again?"
She never stopped. He shakes his head.
"Geez, so much wasted potential."
I'm sure he's talking about me, too. We all had things going for us at one point, like locomotives on a set of tracks with no end in sight. But my train stopped. Nicole's train derailed, and Michael's, well, his went full steam ahead. And I can't help but resent him for it. I've felt indifferent toward him for years. It was easy to feel that way when he was gone, but now that he's here, I feel otherwise. There's a rage festering inside of me, and I'm sure it's been there all along, simmering, waiting to boil over. "When was the last time you talked to her?" I ask. He rubs his chin as though he's pondering his answer.
"I sent her a text on her birthday."
"A whole text?" Michael furrows his brow. He's not used to being called out. And maybe this isn't the right time for it, but I don't care. This whole house could collapse into itself and get swallowed up by the earth, and I don't think I would even scream.
"I deserve that,"
he says with a nod. His response disappoints me. I wanted a fight, someone to blame, someone to be mad at. But little brother has outmatured me. I guess you can only grow so much when you're stuck in the same place, like a houseplant that's never been repotted. I shuffle my feet, glancing down at the scratched and worn hardwood floor. I should apologize, but I'm not sorry. His gaze glides around me.
"Can I see Mom?"
he asks. I move to the side and pull the covers from her face so Michael can get a glimpse. It's not Mom, though. It's just a body. If it were Mom, she'd be smiling, but instead her jaw is slack. Her eyes would be bright and animated, but they're clouded and still. She doesn't look peaceful in death. My throat tightens, and I swallow hard. I'm the oldest. I'm supposed to be the strongest. Do you want a moment? I see his eyes go to her, but he has a blank expression. I wonder if he's trying to be strong too. Then again, he was never one to cry. None of us were. Dad raised us to be strong and stoic. I remember his words, "If you can control your emotions, you can control anything." He made it seem like it was some sort of superpower. But really, it was just a terrible coping mechanism, one that left us unprepared when he disappeared. Michael's steps are slow and cautious as he walks toward me. I don't know what to do or how to act. When he reaches his hand out, I nearly flinch. He rests it on my shoulder and looks me in the eye.
I'm sorry I wasn't here, Beth.
I stare back at him, chewing on several sentences before I finally spit one out. I'm sorry you weren't too, I say, stepping away from him. His hand slides from my shoulder, returning to his side. You know how they say there are some relationships you can slip in and out of, that even if a lot of time has gone by, you just pick up where you left off? This isn't one of them. I'll be in the kitchen. I'm going to try to get a hold of Marissa to let her know what happened, I add. Michael simply nods. He doesn't ask about my daughter, his only niece. Instead, he turns from me and takes a seat beside the bed. Leaning forward, he props his elbows on the mattress. Mom's small hand disappears in his as he lowers his head and buries his face into what's left of her. There are murmured whispers, but I can't make out what he's saying. It's like he's a child again, asking for forgiveness after he'd done something wrong. But Mom's gone, and she can't forgive him. She can't forgive any of us anymore. 4. Beth. I sip at a 4-finger pour of Seagram's 7 whiskey. The apricot sweetness dissipates as soon as it touches my taste buds, and is quickly overpowered by a flavor best described as weak rubbing alcohol. Another thing my mother enjoyed on the rarest of occasions. This swill was a treat for her. It's cheap, and it doesn't taste good. But sometimes it's the bad things in life that make us feel the most alive. I lean against the kitchen counter, waiting for a call back from my daughter. A fly buzzes around the sliced tomato I left out, a sandwich I never finished making. I consider killing it, but there's been enough death in this house for one day, so I let it frolic in the tomato water. At least someone is enjoying it. I don't know what to do with myself right now, other than drink bad whiskey. Each gulp pushes the grief down a little further. I should be planning the funeral, but I don't even know what Mom wanted. Every time I brought it up, she'd say, "Let's talk about that later." Well, now there's no time to discuss it at all. My phone rings. It's my daughter, Marissa. "Hello," I say. There's static. We have a bad connection. Then again, we've had that for a long time. "Hi, Mom. My sergeant told me you called. What's up?" she asks. It's noisy on her end. Heavy machinery, engines roaring, lots of chatter.
You coming, Thomas?
A man yells. Marissa sounds farther away as she says, "Yeah, I'll be right there." I can tell when the phone is pressed to her ear again because her voice is louder. "Mom, you still there?" "Yeah, I'm here. How have you been?" I'm not ready to tell her about her grandma. I'm not even sure how much it'll affect her. They were close, up until 7 years ago when my dad disappeared. That changed my mom. It made her detached and guarded all at the same time. It had the same effect on me. Someone choosing to leave your life is a hard thing to live with. And I didn't live with it well. I pushed Marissa away without even realizing. My mom did too, and I don't think we noticed until the whole world was between us. Marissa's been stationed on a Navy base in South Korea for over a year, and before that she was in training, so she hasn't even seen her grandma in over 2 years. She could have been stationed in the Great Lakes, close to home, but of course she chose a place as far away as she possibly could. If they would have offered to station her on the moon, I'm sure she would have said yes.
Busy, real busy. Sorry I haven't rang in a while. Is that why you called?
She asks. I sip the Seagrams again, holding it in my mouth for a moment before swallowing. I don't know why I do that. Maybe I'm punishing myself.
No, I called because...
My eyes go back to the fly. It's flipped on its back in the tomato water. Dead. Too much of a good thing.
Your grandma passed today.
There's a lump in my throat. It's a sob. I chug the rest of the whiskey, forcing it down again.
What? Mom, I'm so sorry,
she says, because it's my loss, not hers.
Are you okay? Do you want me to come home? I can see if they'll give me leave.
It takes me a moment to settle on the right word. Okay? No. Good. Too flippant. Fine. That works. I am fine. I'm not okay, but I'm fine. It's the safety blanket of emotions.
Fine. And if you can come, I'd like that.
There's silence, and I worry the phone has cut out. I pull it from my ear and look at the display screen. The call time is still ticking away.
Okay, Mom, I'll see what I can do.
There's a beat of silence.
Does Dad know?
She adds. I know then she won't come. She's making sure there's someone here to comfort me. My ex-husband won't be jumping at that opportunity, and I wouldn't want him to. I haven't spoken to him since Marissa left for the Navy. Plus, he gave up on us a year after my dad disappeared. He didn't disappear.
No, he doesn't know yet. What about Aunt Nicole?
She asks. I'm taken back by the mention of my sister. I cut her out of my life nearly a year ago, after she became too unpredictable and too dangerous to be around. I never told Marissa how bad it was because I figured she was on the other side of the world anyway, so Nicole couldn't hurt her.
I haven't been able to get a hold of her,
I say frankly. Silence.
Have you talked to her recently?
I add.
Aunt Nicole writes me letters,
she says. That doesn't surprise me. Nicole has always loved to write, mostly poems or short quotes. Her mind was truly a beautiful thing before the drugs ate away at it. I used to think she could get clean, but somewhere between the multiple rehab stints, the overdoses, the thefts, and the run-ins with the law, I lost all hope that I'd ever have my sister back.
What does she write? Just tells me about her life and asks me about the Navy and South Korea.
I can practically hear her smile. I do those things. I ask about her life. I tell her about mine. But when those words come from me, they don't make her smile. She connects better with my drug addict sister than with me, her own mother. Something inside of me blossoms. Jealousy? I immediately push it away. Nicole is the last person I should be envious of.
Hey, Mom, I'm really sorry about Grandma, but I gotta get going. I'll call back as soon as I can.
Okay, honey. Before I can finish my sentence, the line is dead, and she's gone. I let out a sigh and scroll through my texts. The one to my sister has been read, but there is no reply. I type out a long message full of anger and grief. I tell her how mad I am for her not being here. I curse her for not visiting Mom before she passed. I accuse her of being selfish and weak. And then I delete the whole message and stow my phone back in my pocket. Some things are just better left unsaid. There's movement in my peripheral, and I look up to find Michael standing in the doorframe. His face is flushed, and there's a sheen to his eyes like he's been crying. I hold the Seagram's bottle and gesture toward him. Want some? He crumples his face in disgust, but shrugs.
Yeah, why not?
A 4-finger pour each. Michael takes the glass from me and holds it near his lips, staring at the dull gold liquid that resembles piss. He tosses his head back and chugs half of it. His whole body shivers and his face twists like he's just sucked on a lemon. He's used to the finer things in life. I wonder what that's like. But I'd rather not know. It's better to be unaware of what you're missing out on, those things you'll never have access to, and how the 1% lives, especially when you know it'd only be temporary. "That's horrible," he says, coughing. I take a long sip, peering over my glass at him while he tries to regain his composure. Yeah, it is. Michael pulls out a chair and takes a seat, spinning the glass slowly in circles on the worn kitchen table. The wood is covered in gouges and scratches. I remember all of us sitting around this table, Mom and Dad on either end, 3 of us in the middle with 1 empty chair. We never sat in the same spots, moving around based on who we were mad at and who we liked most that day. If I had to pick now, based on how I was feeling, I wouldn't even take a seat. But I'm not a teenager. Adults have to come to the table, so I sit on one of the short sides, directly across from Michael, in the spots our parents used to occupy.
"Were you able to get a hold of Marissa?"
he asks. I nod and take another sip.
"Is she coming home?"
Probably not. A long exhale escapes through my nose. She's stationed in South Korea. Michael's eyes grow a little wide.
"Wow, I didn't know that. Army?"
Navy, I correct.
"Impressive,"
he says. I don't care about what impresses him. His watch clinks against the table. Half red, half blue. A luminescent silver band and the word Rolex in the center of the face. I know it cost more than my car, but he wears it like it came out of a quarter machine. What happened? I ask, gesturing to the scar on his cheek. He runs the tip of his finger over it. It's a couple inches in length, running vertically along his cheek.
"Car accident."
Why didn't you tell me? He cocks his head.
"Would it have changed anything?"
My eyes narrow, but I quickly relax them. Michael's right. It wouldn't have changed anything. I may have sent a text asking if he was okay. I may have even called. But that's it. I glance down at my chewed fingernails. I've bitten them since I was a child, and no matter how many times I've tried to stop, they always find their way back to my mouth. Bad habits don't die. Are you all right now? I ask. Michael nods and sips his drink. He's clearly getting used to the taste because he doesn't react to it this time. I've learned you can get used to anything. I'm glad one of us is all right. Mom died right before my eyes, and though I know I'll come to accept it, I don't know if I'll ever be all right again. Some things change you forever.
"What happens now?"
Michael asks, briefly glancing over his shoulder toward the living room. Mom's body is covered with a sheet again. Only we know she's under there. Sharing this moment of grief with Michael feels hollow because he wasn't here when she passed. I stare at the outline of her face. A puff of air forces the sheet to expand. I blink several times. I'd imagined it. Wishful thinking, I guess. Or I'm going crazy. I've actually never understood that saying, going crazy. Because crazy isn't a place you go. It comes right to you.
"Beth,"
Michael says, pulling me from my thoughts. I blink again. Sorry, I'm not sure. I glance at the clock on the wall, noting the time, 30 minutes past 9. Kathy, Mom's hospice nurse, should be back from her break any minute. She'll tell us what happens next. He sips his whiskey.
"What about the funeral?"
What about it?
"Well, what did Mom want?"
I don't know. A tear escapes the corner of my eye. I quickly wipe it away with the back of my hand. She never told me. Michael pulls his lips in like he doesn't know what to say. He clears his throat.
"So, what's new?"
he asks, changing the subject. It's been 7 years since we last spoke, and I wish I could say everything. It all should be new, but it's not, because I've been stuck in place. I work at the same factory, live in the same house, drive the same car. I'm divorced, I finally land on. I'm not sad as I say it. I don't know if I ever loved my ex-husband. We met when I first started at the factory. I worked the line and he was a machinery operator. I was just a 19-year-old with a dull future. When he asked me out, it gave me something to look forward to, other than a paycheck or a day off. And then I got pregnant and knew that marriage was the right thing to do, not for me, but for him and for our daughter. Michael gives me a solemn look and mutters, "Sorry." How long ago? 5 years. I shrug, but it was over long before that. What happened? Life happened. I'm not trying to be cryptic, but I know it's coming off that way. I take a deep breath and look him in the eye. After Dad disappeared, I became obsessed, as Tom would put it. It took a toll on my marriage, on my life, on my relationship with my daughter. I was so fixated on trying to find him that I lost everything else in the process. Michael leans forward in his chair, propping his elbows on the table. If Mom were here, she'd scold him for that. I'm sorry I wasn't here for you. I didn't know you were going through all that. Weren't you? He sinks back into his chair. Wasn't I what? Going through that too. Didn't you want to find Dad? There are so many questions I want to ask him, but I know if I push too hard, he'll shut down. That's how he was as a kid, and most people don't change. He overthinks, overanalyzes, and then keeps it all to himself, amassing clever little secrets. It's probably why he's done so well with his life. Mom didn't want... The front door creaks open, cutting him short. Kathy pops her head in. She's tall and thin, with black curly hair tied back into a low ponytail. Hi, Beth, she says, closing the door behind her. How's Laura doing? My eyes instantly well up. If I keep saying she's gone, it makes it more real. I shake my head and lower it slightly. Kathy nods and delivers a sympathetic look. I wonder how she can do a job like this, meeting people in their final days just to watch them die. It has to take a toll on her. I think that as humans, we can only carry so much death with us. I'm Michael, Beth's brother, he says, getting up from his chair and extending his hand. Kathy, I'm very sorry for your loss. She shakes his hand lightly. That's how greetings are during times of despair. Fragile. Kathy stands there awkwardly for a moment. She has worked as a hospice nurse for decades, but experience doesn't make this any easier. I'm sorry I wasn't here, she finally says to me. I'm glad she wasn't here, but I don't say that. Don't be. Have you both had your time with her? Kathy glances at each of us. We nod. Are you okay with me calling the funeral home for arrangements? I know what that means. They'll come and take her. Well, not her. The body. The next time I see her, she'll have been injected with a couple gallons of formaldehyde to slow down the decay. She'll be wearing makeup for the first time since her wedding day. Her hair will be done up in a way she's never worn it before. She'll be dressed in her Sunday best, and she'd hate all of it. When I don't answer, Michael steps in. Yes, Kathy. You can make the arrangements. She looks to me for confirmation, so I nod, and she backs out of the kitchen. Michael takes a seat kitty-corner to me and reaches for my hand, giving it a squeeze. I want to flick it away, but I need it more than I don't want it. I gulp the Seagrams. It's lost its flavor. It's gonna be okay, he says. I'm not sure I believe him. My phone ringing startles me. Unknown is splayed across the top of the screen. I know it's bad news. Mom always said bad things came in threes. This is number 2. I'm sure of it. Hello? I answer. Hi. Is this Elizabeth Thomas? The voice on the other end of the line is deep and authoritative. It is.
I'm Officer Ross of the Beloit Police Department. Your sister Nicole was attacked about an hour ago, and she's currently being treated at Memorial Hospital.
Is she okay? Michael's eyes go wide, and he leans toward me.
She's demanding to leave, but we need someone to release her to, given her injuries. Are you able to come and get her?
The officer asks. Yes, of course, I'm on my way. I can be there in 20 minutes.
Thank you, Miss Thomas. I'll see you shortly.
The phone clicks off.
What is it?
Michael asks. I'm a little wobbly when I stand, and I immediately regret the alcohol I consumed. Typically, that's reserved for the morning after, but sometimes there is no gap between an action and a regret. It's Nicole. She's in the hospital. Can you take me there? Michael doesn't hesitate, immediately getting to his feet. I toss him the keys to my 2010 Toyota Camry. He catches them and looks at the tarnished keys like they're some sort of foreign object. He doesn't say anything, but I know what he's thinking. Money changes people the same way death does. If you don't know how to manage every aspect of it, it'll bring out the worst in you.
5. Nicole. It's funny how memory works. Our brain decides what's most important and retains it. The rest, it just lets go. Song lyrics we remember for years, decades even. Are they important? Most likely not. But they're tied to salient moments. I know all the words to Californication by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because I kissed the first boy I ever loved while listening to it back in 1999. I can recite all the lyrics to Last Resort by Papa Roach, because that song was blaring through the speakers of my parents' car as I drove alone, right after getting my driver's license. It meant the world to me. Freedom. Or at least the first taste of it. And I remember the lyrics to Hurt by 9 Inch Nails, because it was playing when I overdosed the first time. And I thought it would be the last thing I'd ever hear. I remember mouthing the words. My lips were the only thing I could move. They were coated in vomit, shifting back and forth and up and down. Then there are random memories permanently lodged in my mind, like phone numbers, despite the fact that cell phones store them for us now. I remember my dad's, though I haven't dialed it in years. And I remember my sister's. 2 lifelines, but only one to call upon. Today she picked up, and I'm surprised she did. "How are you feeling, Nicole?" the nurse asks as she enters the hospital room where I'm laid up. She's young and vibrant, with bright eyes and dewy skin. Actually, she's probably my age, but I don't look like her. After all, time isn't the only thing that ages us. She smiles, not like she's happy to see me, but like she's happy she's not me. Pulling a clipboard from the end of my bed, she flips through several pages that must detail all the damage that was done. This isn't the first time I've been attacked. When you chase all the wrong things, you're bound to end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. "I'm fine," I say, although I'm not. My right arm is cocooned in a cast. Not from today, though. That injury happened 4 weeks ago, and the cast was supposed to be removed this week. But now the doctor wants to keep it on a little longer, just to be safe. My face is throbbing, so I'm sure my skin is a swollen mix of colors. Several of my ribs are bruised. It hurts to inhale deeply, like I'm only sucking in enough air to survive, not enough to thrive. But I've felt that way about life for a long time. The doctor told me I was lucky my ribs weren't broken. I suppose he and I have different definitions of the word lucky. A dose of methadone has helped to dull the withdrawal symptoms. I was supposed to get it earlier today. They asked me why I didn't go in for my treatment. I lied, making up an excuse about transportation or something like that. I was on my way to get my daily dose when I saw the text from my sister. I didn't read it fully, just the notification preview. Just enough to get the gist as to why she was reaching out to me. "Mom is going to pass today," it said. I'm on day 29 of my sobriety. The longest I haven't used since my addiction started. I've tried and failed to stop more times than I care to admit. When I got the text, the craving intensified far beyond my control. Every ounce of my being wanted it. No, needed it. And I knew a dose of methadone wasn't going to cut it. "How's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? The nurse asks. I hesitate, deciding on the correct response. And by that, I don't mean the honest answer. They won't give me any more pain meds anyway, because they know I'm an addict. Instead, I aim for a low number, one that'll get me out of here. 3, I say. She scribbles it down on the chart, checks a few of my vitals, jots them down too, and returns the clipboard to the end of my bed. The doctor is still advising that you stay overnight for observation. Are you sure we can't get you to stay? The nurse tilts her head. I'm sure. She slightly nods and delivers a sympathetic look. Okay. There's a knock on the door. It opens slowly, and my older sister appears in the doorway. Although Beth's face is expressionless, her bloodshot, swollen eyes tell me she's been crying. Mom's dead. She doesn't even need to say it. The nurse greets her before slipping out of the room to get the doctor. Beth stands awkwardly at the foot of my bed, uncomfortably adjusting her oversized navy green raincoat. Her dirty blonde hair is damp and hangs past her shoulders. She wears no makeup, except a cherry-colored lip balm. Beth's always been pretty in an unassuming way. Her eyes skim over me, carefully noting each injury. It's how she always looks at me now, like a claims adjuster appraising the damage and deciding whether or not I'm salvageable. A year ago, she determined I wasn't worth saving. I can still hear her words. They cut deep, deeper than any physical injury I had ever endured. I can't have you in my life, Nicole. I've tried to help you, but every time I do, I get burned worse than the last. I don't even know who you are anymore, because you sure as hell aren't my sister. I remember Beth was calm when she said it. There was no emotion in her voice, no tears in her eyes. It was like she had already grieved the loss and was delivering the message to my ghost. How you feeling? She asks. Like $1,000,000. She nods, cracking a small smile. She's always liked my humor, but I think she's just humoring me right now because she feels bad for me. Money must have lost all value then, she quips. I chuckle but stop myself when I feel a sharp pain in my ribs. I wince, holding my breath for a moment while pressing a hand against my abdomen. Beth takes a step toward me. You good? I blow the air out of my lungs. Yeah. I'm surprised you came. Her eyes are laser-focused on mine, the way Mom used to look at me when I came home late for curfew. Yeah, I am too. So what happened? She asks. I look away, focusing on the white wall behind her. I've never been fond of eye contact. It feels too intimate. It's a way to establish trust, but no one should trust me. I don't even trust myself. When I don't answer, Beth continues. Police said you got beat up pretty bad. Do you owe someone money? No, I lie. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. She cocks her head. Are you using? Even if I tell her no, she won't believe me. You can't trust people with an addiction, because in many cases, like mine, their addiction is stronger than their word. Hello? Dr. Klein raps his knuckles against the partially open door. He's an older man with graying hair and a bulbous nose that keeps his glasses perfectly in place, despite his slick, oily skin. He gives a routine smile and picks up the clipboard. Pain level is down to 3. He looks to me for confirmation. I nod and he continues.
Vitals look good. The radiologist reviewed your MRI scan, and that came back normal as well.
I tried to refuse the MRI, but I was in and out of it when they brought me in, and they must have decided it was necessary. Now I'll have pretty pictures of my brain, all for a whopping $2,000. I should frame them like they're valuable pieces of artwork. Sounds like I'm good as new, I say.
Not exactly. I want to see you back in 2 weeks so I can look at that cast. You have a mild concussion and several bruised ribs, so no heavy lifting or strenuous exercise. Ice, ibuprofen, and rest. Just take it easy and keep up with your methadone treatments.
Dr. Klein tilts his head. I glance over at Beth. The whites of her eyes show at the mention of treatment. She's probably thinking she finally has her sister back. But I know that's not entirely true. Only part of me is here.
Any questions?
He asks, slipping the clipboard back into its place. If you had to live with one leg or one arm, which would you choose, Doc? I keep a straight face. Beth stifles a laugh. Dr. Klein raises an eyebrow.
I meant medical questions, but I suppose one arm, he says, cracking a smile. I'll have the nurse get you checked out. Take care of yourself, Nicole.
He nods and backs out of the room. Beth looks to me, like that same claims adjuster, deciding there's still value despite the damage. How long? She asks. 29 days. Good, she says with a nod. Keep it up. It's the most encouragement she's capable of offering me, because I've let her down far too many times to warrant any more. Is Mom... I don't finish my sentence, and I'm not sure why I even started it in the first place. I know the answer, but sometimes we question the things we already know. Beth nods. Yeah. She's gone. I squeeze my eyes shut, picturing one of the last times Mom smiled at me. We were out shopping at rummage sales on a Saturday morning. She always loved to bargain, and truly believed one man's garbage was another man's treasure. At a garage sale, I spotted a Remington Model 5 vintage typewriter. It was beautiful, priced at over $400, less than half of what it was worth, but more than I could afford. I admired it for a few minutes before pulling myself away. Mom went up to pay for a small knick-knack and tossed me the keys to her vehicle, telling me to turn on the air. She was going through menopause at the time and couldn't stand the humid Wisconsin summers paired with her hot flashes. 10 minutes later, she returned to the car carrying the typewriter and gifted it to me. I told her it was too much. She disagreed. I asked her how she could afford it. She told me not to worry about that. I told her I would pay her back. She smiled and said I could pay her back by writing a book. I promised her I would, but I never did. And years later, I sold the typewriter for drug money. She was as patient as a mother could be, but I wore it so thin it became dust. Beth rests her hand on mine. It's warm and comforting, something I haven't felt in what seems like forever. Day 29. I was 1 day away. Just 1 day. I can hear my mother's words, the last ones she ever said to me. Come back when you have a chip.
6. Beth. Michael takes it slow down the long driveway. One of my headlights is burnt out, so only the right side is fully lit. The wind whips through my partially rolled down window, and I can almost hear it carrying my mother's final words to me. I glance in the rearview mirror at Nicole. She sits quietly in the back seat, writing in her notepad. The pen scratches at the paper. She's always been that way. Rather than express how she's feeling outwardly, she writes it down, spinning poems and pithy lines out of her pain. She hasn't said more than hello to Michael when she greeted him in the car after leaving the hospital, so maybe she's writing about that. The house is dark, and I know they've come and taken Mom away. This place used to be a home. Now I don't know what it is. Just park right here, I say. Michael shuts off the engine and hands me the key.
I'll fix that headlight for you.
You don't have to do that. I can't tell if he's being kind just because, or if it's because he feels sorry for me. Maybe there's no difference. He presses his lips together and nods.
I know.
Inside the house, I turn on the lights. A bulb over the kitchen table flickers, signaling it's close to burning out, and I could say the same for myself. Without Mom, it feels empty in here now. Michael carries in a small bag of groceries he picked up while I was in the hospital with Nicole. At the doorway, she stops suddenly, like there's some sort of invisible force keeping her out. She looks down at her feet and inches 1 foot forward. A couple of large moths fly inside, darting toward the flickering light above the kitchen table. They swirl around one another, performing a synchronized air show of some sort. "Nicole!" I bark. She snaps out of it, looking to me with those big, empty eyes. "Close the door! You're letting all the bugs in!" Her breath hitches, as though she's bracing for impact, and standing at the edge of an airplane door, 30,000 feet above Earth with no parachute, rather than at the threshold of her childhood home. Nicole steps in quickly and closes the door behind her, letting out a sigh. "Are you all right?" I ask. She nods several times and swivels her crossbody bag behind her. She was robbed during the attack, so all that's in there are pads of paper and pens, but those are the most valuable things to her. I'd like to say I'm scared of losing her, but she's been living this way for so long that it feels like I already have, and I came to terms with that loss a year ago. In the living room, there's an empty space where Mom used to be. The hospice bed is gone. The machines and IV stand are gone. She is gone. There are outlines where the items used to be, from where the dust has settled. If I concentrate hard enough, I can still see her lying there looking out the window. A chill runs down my spine. Nicole leans against the archway, using it to keep her frail self upright, while Michael stands stoic beside me. They take it all in, just as I am. But it's different for them. They haven't lived in this house the last few months. They haven't seen it transform from a home to a hospital to a memorial. They didn't watch Mom die slowly and then suddenly all at once. And I hate them for that. I swallow hard and cross the room, careful to walk around the bed that is no longer there, and take a seat on the floral-patterned couch. Michael clears his throat.
I picked up some scotch. Do you want some?
Is Seagram's not good enough for you? I tilt my head, half teasing but mostly serious.
I'll have some,
Nicole says. I don't think it's a good idea given her recovery, but I don't say anything. I'm not her mother, and she didn't listen to Mom anyway.
All right, Port Charlotte for Nicole and me, Seagram's for Beth, Michael says with a smirk. Give me your stupid fancy scotch, I huff. He smiles and disappears into the kitchen. Several cupboards open and close. Ice cubes pop out of an ice tray and clink against glasses. Nicole sits down next to me. When the couch cushion barely sinks, I realize how thin she's gotten. She pulls the sleeves of her oversized sweatshirt over her thumbs and places her hands in her lap. Her posture is rigid, and I can't tell if it's from the pain she's in or if it's because she's uncomfortable being in this house. Do you want to lie down? I ask. Nicole shakes her head.
I can't believe she's gone,
she says, just above a whisper. She pushes her brown hair out of her face, revealing green eyes she got from Mom, and scarred skin she got from a lifetime of bad choices.
I was planning to see her tomorrow.
She's not looking directly at me when she speaks. Her eyes are focused a little above me, kind of how Mom was in her final moments. I'm silent, waiting for my sister to say more, but she doesn't. Instead, her eyes well up, and her breath hitches. Then she regains her composure, blinking the tears away and breathing through the impending sob, just like Dad taught us. Michael re-enters the living room, carrying 3 glasses of scotch. He hands us each one and takes a seat on the far end of the couch. "Thanks," I say with a tight smile. Nicole chugs half of hers. Michael shakes his head and delivers a disapproving look.
"It's meant to be sipped."
She holds up the glass, flicks her pinky out, and takes the slowest sip she possibly can.
"Is that better, Your Highness?"
she mocks. He cracks a smile and sips his drink. The scotch is equally smoky and sweet with flavors of honey, vanilla, and citrus. "You have good taste, Michael," I say with a nod.
"Easy to have good taste when you have money," Nicole huffs. "But thanks," she quickly adds, tipping the glass toward him.
We drink in silence, exchanging glances. It seems like we all have something we want to say. The house creaks and moans. I like to think it's Mom, walking from room to room, making sure each one is in order like she used to do when we were young.
"Remember that time Mom caught us down in the valley with the camcorder, making scary movies?"
Nicole says, interrupting the silence. She lets out a laugh. Growing up in a small town, there wasn't much to do. So, we made our own entertainment, building forts, swimming in the creek, filming movies with our family camcorder, going for bike rides, and turning just about everything into a game.
"You mean the Blair Bitch Project?"
Michael chuckles into his glass.
"Yeah, I don't know why I had to play the Blair Bitch,"
I scoff.
"You fit the part,"
Nicole quips. I mock laugh and sip my drink. Mom was so mad because she thought we were going to break the camcorder.
"Yeah. I bet it's still somewhere in this house,"
Michael says. He looks around the room and then up at the ceiling where the attic is. I'm sure it's up there too. Mom saved everything. She had lost so much in her life, her father, her sister, her mother, Dad, that she tried to hold on to anything and everything she could.
"Dad was even madder when he saw we were using his insect fogger for smoke effects,"
Nicole adds. Well, yeah, because we were literally playing in poisonous gas. I shake my head and laugh.
"Remember Mom made us Oscar awards out of toilet paper rolls after our film debut?"
Nicole looks to me and then Michael.
"I won Best Camcorder Holder."
Michael smiles at the memory.
"It should have been Director, but Mom didn't know the award categories."
Nicole grins.
"I was Best Writer."
"Yeah, Best Actor here," I say. That was really something special. I trail off. We sit in silence again, reminiscing about memories that feel like they happened both yesterday and more than a lifetime ago. It's funny how time works. I can remember Nicole before the drugs got into her. She was funny and bright, with so many goals and aspirations. And Michael, smart as a whip, and the whole world at his fingertips. But he was the only one to truly grasp his dreams. When our glasses are empty, Michael grabs the bottle from the kitchen and returns, pouring a generous amount in mine and his, and a little less in Nicole's. She either doesn't notice or doesn't say anything. Are you seeing anyone? I look to Michael. I'm not sure why I asked the question. Maybe because I'm curious to find out how much better his life is than mine. It's hard not to compare when we all had the same beginning.
"I was, but it ended a few months ago."
He shrugs and sips his drink.
"Why?"
Nicole asks.
"She wasn't happy with my workload."
"That doesn't seem like a real reason. My last boyfriend broke up with me because I sold his watch for drug money," Nicole says nonchalantly. "Apparently that was a deal breaker for him."
Michael and I exchange worried looks. He glances at his wrist.
"I'm not going to steal your watch, Michael."
She rolls her eyes.
"I didn't say you were,"
he says. Nicole shifts in her seat and winces.
"I'm fine,"
she says before either of us can ask. She positions a pillow behind her back, trying to get comfortable again. When she's settled, she looks to Michael and then me.
"Do you think Dad will come back now?"
She seems so young when she asks, as though she still believes in Santa,
the tooth fairy, those monsters under the bed. Michael hangs his head and stares at the dark gold liquid in his glass. Mom's final words return to me. Your father. He didn't disappear. Don't trust. Nicole pulls her chin in when neither of us respond, as though she's embarrassed to have asked the question. I consider telling them what Mom said, but I don't. I'm not even sure it's worth mentioning. Maybe it meant nothing. If he knew Mom passed, he'd come home, I say. I'm not sure I believe those words, but I know Nicole needs them. Michael tosses back the golden liquid and pours himself another. She nods and asks,
So, what next?
First, funeral arrangements. Then we should get the house in order. Go through everything and decide what we're going to do with it all, I say.
What do you mean? Like, sell the house?
Nicole asks. Yeah, we either sell it or keep it. Michael leans back into the cushion. What are you thinking, Beth? I sigh. I don't know. Maybe sell?
I think you should sell it,
Nicole says. Why? I ask.
Because I could use the money.
Her eyes shift between Michael and me. For what, Nicole? I tilt my head.
To live on.
Michael raises a brow, but he doesn't say anything. He hasn't had to deal with Nicole's addiction like I have, so he can't understand how bad it's been. You know you can't be trusted with money, Nicole.
What's that supposed to mean?
She spits. I think you know. She stands quickly, but winces and nearly falls over, spilling part of her drink onto Michael in the process. He groans and wipes at his pants.
If you have something to say, Beth, then just fucking say it,
Nicole yells. I'm used to her emotional outbursts. It comes with addiction, and it's why I put distance between us a year ago. I couldn't take it anymore. She'd call me every name in the book, tell me she hated me, that she wished I was dead. Sometimes she even turned violent, lashing out at me or destroying whatever was around her when I told her no, that I wasn't giving her any more money. I'm not sure she even remembers any of those fights. I look up at her and draw my brows together. What would you spend that money on, Nicole? My voice is calm. Her mouth falls partially open. I can't help but think of Mom, her jaw lax after she passed. I close my eyes for a moment, willing my mind to bury that image. When I open them, Nicole is seated again, lips pressed firmly together, stewing. What I said was wrong, but I'm also right, and she knows it. Sometimes right and wrong are interchangeable. We don't have to make any decisions now, Michael says. You're right, I say. Let's just take it one day at a time. Nicole nods, but she's still stewing in her anger. I can only stay for a week, though, Michael adds. And will it be another 7 years until we see you again? I ask. Let's hope not. He stands from the couch. Good night, you two, he says, putting an end to the fight I was looking for. Michael leaves the bottle but carries his glass with him as he heads down the hall to his old bedroom. His door closes with a thud, and my shoulders jump. It's been a long time since I've heard a door slam in this house, not since we were teens.
Home sweet home,
Nicole says sarcastically. Yep. I stand from my seat, deciding I don't want to fight after all, at least not tonight. I pick up the half-empty bottle of scotch because I don't want Nicole to feel tempted, and she doesn't need any more. I'm going to turn in. Need anything?
No, I'm going to head to bed too,
she says, draining the rest of her scotch. She hands me her glass and gets to her feet, collecting her belongings. I rinse the glasses in the kitchen sink and hide the bottle of scotch in the Lazy Susan cabinet before heading down to my bedroom. Nicole pads down the hall to her room but stops to look back at me. She tells me goodnight, and I tell her the same. Our bedroom doors close, and I make sure to lock mine. I worry about sleeping under the same roof as my sister. I know she can't be trusted.